Hey guys,
What's up?
let's kick this off. We're so happy you guys are here with us. So I'm happy I get to chat with the two of you because you two are people who have really established themselves in your respective space, right? You guys don't do the same thing. So I think we should kick it off by saying, you both have really defined areas of expertise. Talk us through your content style, respectively, and tell us how you figured out this is what you wanted to do.
Sure. Yeah. So what I'm known for is pretty much, I call it the epic one shot, where I pretty much do a whole scene in one shot. It might not be always one take, but it's always one shot, right? I mean, I do many different styles, but that's the style that I'm most known for. And for me, how I kind of figured out that that part is pretty much that, okay, showing that, okay, you can just use a phone and create a cinematic sequence without any, all this crazy equipment that we always see in like big movies, right? So I just want to show it as possible, and everybody has a phone in their pocket. They can literally just take it out and just do it. Look, it's just me and my hand. I mean, that's weird, but I mean, like,
Huh.
but it's me. You don't need any other tool other than your hand to create the cinematic sequence. So, it relates to a lot of people around the world, especially when I walk around, like people from shop owners to like, restaurateurs and everything like that. Cause I get it. I used to be a business owner, a restaurant, fitness, everything like that. Like, we don't have all the best equipment in the world, but what we do have is just a phone. And for us to create any type of ad with just a phone, that's it. So I think it becomes relatable to where a dad or mom or grandma or aunt at a kid's birthday where just capture precious moments, or even just eating food out with their friends, they just take out their phone and just shoot it. So I think I figured out that was my style, being able to inspire people, just anybody really, just to pick up a phone and just create something so simple with just a phone.
Yeah.
My content I would describe as like a less epic one shot. No, I'm just kidding. It's VFX content would be kind of the general terminology, but specifically VFX illusion looping content. And that kind of came from a love of magic tricks growing up and the love of filmmaking and kind of finding a way to blend the two.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, both so incredibly talented, but I think a lot of people wonder, how do you get into the actual creator space, right? How does it turn from like a hobby, something you just enjoy doing, to really like creating content, churning content? How do you get to that point? How did y'all get to that point?
I mean, I think for me, as a filmmaker for like the past 15 years into like a full-time just content creator now,
Yeah.
it was definitely a huge shift, right? I used to direct a lot of commercials and music videos for a lot of clients, and now I'm just really just creating content for myself. And the huge shift is really just like, okay, I'm no longer taking directions from others, right? Now it's my full creative vision. I think I stopped taking client work because I'm like, I gotta do what makes me happy. I gotta create content that I feel comfortable with. So I think for any content creator, right, you should be creating something that you love and not trying to force yourself into a niche that you think people will like.
Right.
Especially with my niche. I personally think that I kind of basically just came out of nowhere, my own lane, and just created my own niche because nobody liked what I was doing. It was like 99.9999% were like hater comments, which is fine. But that 0.000000001 percentage of comments, definitely loved what I did. And, I nurtured that audience. I paid attention to that 0.00001 to become my 99.9999%. Now I don't see hater comments anymore.
But how do you, I think a struggle for a lot of people is getting past those hater comments, right? And saying, okay, this is still the right move for me.
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Have fun with it. People used to always say like, oh, my 3-year-old could do this. And I'll be like, oh, man, that's going to be the next Martin Scorsese. I'll be like, oh, that made me dizzy. I'll be like, oh, it was made for like, you need some like, Tylenol or something like that to make it, dizzy medicine. Just have really genuine fun with it. Like, oh, yeah, you used to say, oh man, I'm just that good. Thank you for the compliment. You know what I mean? Like, so just have fun with it, you know, because at the end of the day, a lot of times you will just be having a bad day or just need something to like vent off of.
Sure.
And it was like 10% of people that left those hater comments would come back and just be like, yo, sorry, I was having a bad day. I really like your work. So, it just, because I used to own a restaurant, right? I used to always respond back to a lot of Yelp reviews, and you guys know how that is, right? Look, you lost that customer, right? You lost whoever wrote that negative comment. You lost that customer. You'll never see them again. But you know what? It's for the next customer to read. And that'll show you who you are, and you'll gain a new customer through that way.
Yeah. What about you, Caleb? Entering the creator space.
Getting into the creator space, I began by making videos of like my action figures with like a tape recording camera. So it would be a makeshift stop motion journey of like recording for a millisecond, moving the character. And so that was kind of like initially creating content. That transitioned into learning After Effects later and learning everything related to more traditional 2D composition work. And then Vine came out. But I had a Samsung device at the time, and Vine was not on Samsung devices. So I'd wait a whole year till I could start uploading there. And the whole time I was thinking like, man, if I had Vine, I'd make this, I'd make that, right? Eventually, when it came to the device I had, I just started uploading in-app, minimal cuts and things like that to kind of create effects. And then the game kind of changed for me when I found out you can upload content not created in-app. And that really opened the door. I was like, oh, I can take my After Effects knowledge, my VFX knowledge, and apply it to videos. And so that kind of began this journey for me back in 2014. And it's been just kind of like honing in on what it is that I enjoy making and what seems to gel well with the people that watch it since 2014.
Yeah. So actually talking, you've been on a Samsung device for a long time. Talk to me about y'all's favorite features of the S23 Ultra, because I think you guys use some kind of untapped features that maybe the Gen Pop doesn't know about or use often. So talk to me about the features and the camera settings and how do you, use those to succeed in your niche, in your art.
I'll tell you guys right now, like, as you guys see my videos 365 times a year, like, I just use a Samsung phone. And I'll be completely honest with you. The camera is just so good. There is no hidden features that I use. I just put it on camera mode, auto, and I just go. Of course, the primary settings that I do use is 4K, 60 frames per second. It's keeping that buttery smooth footage, and if I need to, I just slow it down. But, the autofocus is so good on it. A lot of people always ask, like, yo, Drex, how do you get that footage and focus when you go in and out? I'm like, yo, it's really just like, the autofocus is just that good. Sure, I in terms of stabilization, I do got to do the ninja walk. Like all of us content creators know, we always got to do that ninja walk. Sometimes you guys think I might be dancing around, but I'm not. I'm unlocking my joints so I could go for a smoother, shot. So, so in my opinion, that is really good. But other than that, I love the director's mode or director's view, where you can really pick your you could preview the camera lens before you pick it while you're shooting live. So
it's really interesting because I feel like in short form content, whether it be TikTok, Reels, Shorts, whatever, I've noticed that the content I make, that even though there's like a high level VFX concept or high level amount of work going on in the production or the pre-production, making sure that the footage feels relatable to people is very important. And that's exactly where the S23 Ultra comes in for me, because it's important for the footage to look like this is something that somebody else could shoot, because it's a phone that people have, right? However, at the same time, I'm not compromising the quality or the clarity or the resolution, because I shoot everything at typically 4K 30.
Yeah.
I would shoot 60 frames per second, but doing what I'm doing, it would just double the workload, and post-production is like, it's not worth it. But for me, I'm typically shooting 4K 30 frames per second in pro video mode. That way I can control the focus, the white balance, the exposure, anything like that. And it works just fine. In fact, I think the last like 5 out of 10 videos on my account have all been shot on the S23 Ultra.
Wow.
Yeah.
And all of yours happen.
every single one.
So what are y'all's, just a fun, tidbit, what are y'all's favorite pieces of content that y'all have shot with a Samsung product?
I mean, you guys see a lot of my content. I shoot a lot of car videos, action sequences, just a lot of dynamic shots, right? Anything that moves, right? And I just kind of slow it down and stuff like that, and then speed it up. And, that's kind of like what I'm known for. But, one of my favorite sequences that I just shot was the super cool action shot inspired by the new movie John Wick. And it was like that. I'll be honest, I did not take one take. It was one shot, but it's not one take. It was about 40 takes, and it took me about 2 hours to achieve.
I've seen it, and it's incredible.
Yeah. But well worth it, though. My body was sore the next day, but it was well worth it.
I think for me, I made a video with my kids where I'm like a puzzle on the floor, I come to life, and then I break down into a puzzle. And that entire thing was shot on the S23 Ultra. And I think the thing that I love the most about it is that it feels like it was shot on a gimbal, just because the smoothness of the footage. So that's probably my favorite video as of now. I've shot with it, but I've only had the phone for a month.
Yeah. Still learning, right? Evolving with the phone. So, what's y'all's advice for people who have a niche and they feel really comfortable, but they want to evolve it, right? They don't want to do the same content all the time. They want to continue to, grow with their content, have their audience continue to be engaged. How would you, advise them to, evolve their content within their space?
Sure. Just like, for example, for me, right, even though when I first started on social media, I did a ton of different styles of cinematic videos, right? For me, the epic one shot really took off, and my very first epic one shot, it was just really one sequence. It was just like, and that was it. Now, if you see my content now, it involves, just like you saw with the fight scene, right? It involved probably 50 sequences in one shot, right? So that's how I kind of evolved it, right? Even though sometimes I did, show other cinematic styles, right? It doesn't hit as hard as what I was known for. Just like the epic one shot, even though it's one shot. So I think for any creator that's kind of feel like, okay, they're feeling kind of stuck, always feel free to kind of like just start exploring different styles. And if those different styles aren't hidden, you could take your own style and just take it to the next level, right? It could be anything, right? Just add more stuff on top of it, make it longer, stronger, harder. Sorry. But yeah, so just kind of taking everything to the next level, and regardless of how it is, just think about it like, man, how do I put this on steroids?
Yeah. How have you done that with your epic one shot? Because your content's pretty consistent, but I feel like you keep leveling it up. Like, how it's more work for you, certainly, but
I'm adding more steps.
Yeah.
I'm definitely adding more steps. I look at my watch every time now. I'm like, oh wow, this one shot took me about 20,000 steps. The first one was only like 5. But it's just like, okay, how I'll sit there and I'll look at my analytics and I'll be like, okay, this is a drop off point. This is what stopped being interested, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's okay. Not every video is going to be a hit, right? I put it like this. Every time you upload a video, it's like playing a jackpot. It's like playing the lottery. Okay, am I going to hit today? Okay, this is not the one. Okay, try again.
Yeah.
All right. And it's looking at your analytics, where the drop off points are, and to pay attention to your audience, because they're the ones that is going to be driving you. They're your champions. You know what I mean? If they like it, they're going to share the out of it. You know what I mean? So I think just really paying attention to the numbers, your audience, your followers, everything like that.
Yeah, that was going to be a question of mine. Like, do you listen to your audience, or do you keep, moving in your own direction, or do you like to hear from them?
I definitely listen to them. I've literally had people comment on my posts like all the time since like 2 years straight.
Yeah.
Like almost on every single one. And by when I mean like people, I don't mean just like one or two, but I'll be like, lot of people. So those are the opinions that matter. But if one guy just pops out of nowhere and be like, yo, this sucks, you gotta like switch it up. Okay, what do you suggest? You know what I mean? And but I would respond back to that.
Sure.
Because like I said, like the Yelp review, right? I probably lost that guy already, but it's fine. You know what I mean? My other audience will know that I care.
Right.
So when I was starting, I didn't really know what VFX content would A, perform well, and then B, I wanted to make on the platform. So going back all the way to the Vine days, I was kind of making meme VFX content, and then kind of like more of the stuff I'm currently doing, and then things in between that are more, intentionally cinematic. And I noticed that as I was doing that, there were certain types of content that I was really excited about creating. And then also there's certain types of content that the comments were kind of fueling the desire to continue to make that kind of content. So example, like I was making a lot of like kind of VFX meme content where I'm like, putting my face on like somebody in a movie, or putting a celebrity's face on something else, right? And that stuff would sometimes do well, but I wasn't really excited to make that kind of content. And so I kind of pivoted according to like the feedback I was receiving, the things I was actually enjoying to create, and then also the things that I noticed were inspiring me to continue to push the envelope of like, what if I, X? And so for me, that was kind of the looping VFX. It feels like it's typically in one shot, even if it's not. And that's kind of the content that I still make today.
What is your process, your creative development process? Because again, y'all are both very different, but I sometimes it feels like yours may take more time and yours is so quick, but that may be completely wrong. Like, how do you do storyboard? What's your process?
Yeah, so typically the idea begins as just that an idea.
Right.
And then I now have a team of people, and we sit down and we workshop through it. So, sometimes there's a great overall concept, but the story is just not there. It's like a great gag, but it's like, what's the storyline of this, or what's the narrative of this? Which sounds funny because sometimes these videos are like 10 seconds. But we then workshop through the idea until we have something we truly are passionate about. And then my brother will typically storyboard it at that point, just so I can have a visual reference, because I definitely am a visual learner. So if I can see something, then I can imagine how we're going to get to that point. So we will typically storyboard out the concept, if not just like a single image to be like, this is the frame we're using for reference. Yeah. And then depending on the video, there might be like actual set design involved in it if we can't find the space we're looking for to make it happen. And then the production itself can sometimes be 2 hours, sometimes 5 hours, typically no more than like a half day of work to shoot the video. And then in post-production, it can be as little as like 3 or 4 hours, but typically it's like 2 to 5 days of work, up to I think maybe like a month, as long as I've spent on like a short form video.
For one piece of content. Wow.
I mean, for me, it's like, it's like that. The longest one was probably like someone trying to dunk, and the guy couldn't dunk. And it took like 2 hours. I was running around following him for like the longest time. He couldn't dunk. But you're probably watching this right now. But for my process, right, I don't film myself. I'm always filming someone else. So it's like, okay, I need to put together the whole crew, right? Whoever it is. Okay, I have this person who would be perfect for this concept. So we have a bunch of concepts like listed, right? And then I would just pick one. Okay, you will fit good with this. You will fit good with this concept. And I just say, are you available? You have that car available? Can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, you can't look this way? Okay, we won't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The process kind of happens like that. But sometimes a one shot could happen literally as fast as like 30 seconds.
Wow. And then it goes out, like, what's the editing process for you?
Like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
Samir, we did that one shot, and like, I was like, Samir, we should get some coffee. I was like, hey, you want to go this one shot? Just ran on the middle street. He's like, okay. Ran out there. Done. Okay, cool.
It's live.
And then 30 million views later.
Love it. Can you guys elaborate on why it's better to start getting content out rather than really just agonizing over it being perfect, right? I think that may be a good example, even just quick and fun, but like, what's your advice on that?
Yeah, be you. Be your style. Who cares? Like, remember, you're only where you are because of your audience. They grew to love you before your style. It's like, when you're training someone to be a bartender, right? You don't want someone to be a seasoned bartender from somewhere else. You want to train them from the ground up because they only know what you teach them, right? Like I said, 99.9999% of the people that was watching my stuff hated my stuff.
Yeah.
They're not my audience. But I grew a audience from a 0.0001 to what it is now.
Yeah.
They love me for what I am. So for me to change that, I don't want to be. So, sorry, say one question one more time.
No, you answer. I mean, yeah, it's about like, if it doesn't need to be perfect or like, don't agonize.
No one's going to know that is wrong except for you. You know what I mean? You create that content. No one knows that it's okay.
Sometimes, right?
No, okay, maybe it's for you. But no one will know your error except for you, because after you create, you're like, oh man, maybe this is not good enough. Maybe this only feels like it's only at 80%. But to someone else that's watching it, to your audience that loves you for who you are, no matter what you create, you're like, man, they're like, this is 100%. This is 110%.
Yeah.
So
I think on one end, there's sometimes like a fear of, man, I want this to live online forever. So I want to make sure it's the best thing possible. But what I notice is sometimes when you are waiting for the perfect idea to strike, that never really happens. So instead, it's like if you have a really good idea or an idea you're really excited about, just go out and execute it. And then you'll learn from the things that you do wrong in the process to make a better video later. And sometimes, ironically, when I'm making a video and I was in like a creative rut and I make a video anyway, that video, even though that was not the creative inspiration I was looking for, sometimes I get the creative inspiration I need from that video to then make the better video that comes after it.
Yeah.
So I guess my encouragement would be like, even if you don't have the perfect idea or you're not fully satisfied with it, just go out and create anyway, and you'll learn from the good and the bad of it.
Yeah. May spark some inspiration too along the way. We got about a minute left. I just want to open it up. Piece of advice for people who are content creators that are really trying to evolve what they're currently doing within their space. What would you guys say to them?
Just take it. If one thing is not working for you, that's completely fine. I just kept literally just doing what I did until it did. And like I said, you grow your audience. They're gonna love you for you, and it's fine. It doesn't matter how fast you grow. It doesn't matter what you think that they think. Just make it. Just make it, and then they will come. Sometimes it might take a long time, sometimes it might be overnight, but just be happy with what you do, feel happy about doing it, and I would say personally, just, focus more on what your craft is and how it makes you happy versus then what the initial comments are coming and saying.
I would say find people that inspire you, study what they're doing, figure out what it is that's working for them, and learn from that. The second thing is don't compare yourself to other people in the space. Use that as a creative challenge instead of competition, because we're all like learning at the same time.
Yeah.
And I guess the third thing would be just like be free to make mistakes in the creative process, because like I was saying, that's actually where you learn and grow.
Great advice. Caleb and Drex, thank you guys so much for being here and giving
Thank you
us
very
a
much.
peek into your process. Thank you guys so much.